there's a powerful shift happening in the world of weight loss. One that's catching the attention of doctors, celebrities, and even your neighbors. It's centered around a class of medications known as GLP-1 receptor agonists. Drugs like Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro. They promise significant, even effortless weight loss. And many people are seeing results. But here's the question no one's really asking: what's actually happening inside your body when these work? And more importantly, is there a way to tap into that same metabolic power naturally you're hungry without relying on pharmaceuticals for the rest of your life? What's fascinating is that your body already has built-in systems that mimic many of the effects these drugs are trying to replicate. GLP-1 is not a synthetic invention. It's a hormone your own gut produces in response to food. It slows gastric emptying, curbs appetite, and helps regulate blood sugar. These medications are just supercharged versions of something your body already knows how to use. The key is to understand how to activate those same pathways safely, naturally, and sustainably. This matters deeply for those of us focused on healthy aging, because as we get older, the body's natural satiety signals tend to dull. Blood sugar becomes harder to manage. Muscle becomes harder to maintain. And the habits that worked in our 30s, 40s often don't work anymore. GLP-1 drugs appear to offer a solution, but they're also expensive, hard to tolerate for some, and potentially come with long-term trade-offs we don't fully understand yet. Mainstream conversations often present a false choicing: take the drug or stay stuck. But there's a third path, rooted in functional health, natural physiology, and food-based healing. You don't need to fight your body, just understand it. And once you do, the strategies become clear. You'll how intermittent fasting, nutrient timing, which means gut microbiome balance, and the right types of movement can naturally raise GLP-1 levels. You'll see how strategic sleep and blood sugar regulation can give your brain back its appetite control. And you'll realize that your body isn't broken. It may simply be missing the signals it needs to thrive. In this video, we're going to break down what GLP-1 really is, how these weight loss drugs work, and what you can do, starting today, to access your body's own fat-burning intelligence. We'll talk about key foods, daily rhythms, and metabolic triggers you can control. This isn't about hype. It's about how your gut, your liver, your muscles, and even your brain are designed to communicate and support each other if you give them the right inputs. If you care about sleeping deeper, healing faster, and aging with energy, make sure to watch until the end and subscribe so you don't miss the natural wisdom your body is craving. GLP-1 is a natural gut hormone, not just a drug target. Most people hear about GLP-1 for the first time through a commercial or headline. They hear about drugs like Ozempic or Wegovy and think, finally, means something that works. But what many don't realize is that GLP-1 is not just a drug target. It's a natural hormone your body already produces, and it's been doing so your entire life. The real question isn't, how can I get more of this drug? It's, how can I get my body to produce more of this hormone on its own? Let's start with what GLP-1 actually is. GLP-1 stands for glucagon-like peptide 1. It's produced by the cells in your small intestine, specifically the L cells, in response to food. It's beautifully simple. It helps you feel full, slows the emptying of your stomach, and tells your pancreas to release insulin in a more controlled way. It also reduces the production of glucagon, which means you store less sugar as fat. In other words, it's one of your body's built-in appetite and blood sugar regulators. What's happening in your body is that GLP-1 acts like a signal. It communicates between your gut, your pancreas, and your brain to say, we've had enough. Let's stop Ebolize. And this signaling used to work flawlessly. But over time, with aging, inflammation, and years of processed food, the signal gets weaker. It's not gone, but it's muffled. The good news is you can strengthen that signal again. You don't need to fight your body. Just understand it. The foods you eat, and when you eat them, determine whether your GLP-1 system is active or overwhelmed. For example, eating slowly and chewing thoroughly triggers more GLP-1 release. That's not just a folk remedy. It's physiology. Certain amino acids from protein foods like eggs, sardines, or grass-fed beef stimulate cells to release GLP-1. So does dietary fiber, especially from foods like chia seeds, flaxseed, cabbage, or asparagus. These foods don't just your stomach. They feed your gut lining and encourage this hormone to rise naturally. Another piece that's often overlooked is the role of food order, which means when you eat protein and vegetables first in a meal, before starches or sweets, your blood sugar rises more slowly and GLP-1 is released more effectively. One small Japanese study published in Diabetes Care showed that eating vegetables first or post-meal glucose spikes by 40%. That's almost half. And when glucose is stable, GLP-1 functions better. There's also something powerful that happens when you give your body space between meals. Research shows that prolonged eating windows, grazing all day, dampen GLP-1 response over time. But when you introduce time-restricted eating, even just a 12-hour overnight fast, you give your digestive hormones time to reset. GLP-1 becomes more responsive, more sensitive, That's something no drug can teach your body to do. It comes from rhythm, not medication. Your body is designed to heal itself, but it needs periods of low insulin, low inflammation, and consistent nourishment to activate those systems. When you nourish the L cells of your gut and remove what's irritating them, they start working again. You begin to feel hunger less like a craving and more like a signal. You eat less, not because you're restricting, but because you're satisfied. If this is helping you see health differently, tap the like button. It helps us reach more people who need this. And for seniors in particular, this is a game changer because one of the major struggles that comes with aging is not just gaining weight, but feeling out of control with eating. You're not imagining it. Aging changes sensitivity to insulin and satiety hormones. But the solution is not to shut down your appetite with a synthetic injection. The solution is to rebuild the system that's trying to work, if only it had the right tools. Those tools are whole foods, thoughtful timing, mindful eating, and gut support. In later videos, we'll go deeper into fermented foods, herbal bitters, and nutrients like magnesium and chromium that help GLP-1 do its job. But for now, just know this GLP-1 is not a miracle from a drug company. It's a messenger, and it's been in your body all along. Subscribe if you're learning something new, because there's more natural healing wisdom to come. Intermittent fasting naturally enhances GLP-1 sensitivity. Most people think of intermittent fasting as just a way to eat fewer calories. Skip breakfast, eat less, lose weight. But if that's all you think fasting does, missing the real story, because fasting just changes how much you eat. It changes how your body responds to food, especially when it comes to hormones like GLP-1. Here's the key. GLP-1 is not just about quantity. It's about sensitivity. You can have enough of the hormone in your system, but if your cells aren't responding to it properly, if your receptors are dull or resistant, it won't do its job. That's where intermittent fasting comes in. It's one of the most effective, drug-free ways to reawaken the body's natural hormone sensitivity. And for those of us focused on aging well, this is one of the most powerful tools we have. Let's step back. Every time you eat, especially carbohydrates, blood sugar rises. That triggers insulin and, to a lesser extent, GLP-1. But if you're constantly eating, snacking late at night, grazing during the day, your insulin stays elevated. And over time, your cells stop responding. This isn't just about diabetes. It's about your hunger, your energy, and your ability to lose fat. Because when insulin and GLP-1 are chronically high, body becomes resistant to their signals. It's like someone ringing your doorbell all day long. Eventually, you stop answering. What intermittent fasting does is restore quiet. When you go 12, 14, or even 16 hours without eating, your hormones get a break. Insulin drops. Inflammation goes down. And here's where it gets interesting. GLP-1 sensitivity actually increases. One study published in the journal Obesity found that after a 16-hour fast, GLP-1 levels remain more stable and more effective at controlling appetite compared to those eating frequently. That means when you finally do eat, your body responds more efficiently. You feel satisfied sooner. You have better blood sugar control. And most importantly, your cravings begin to fade. This is not about starvation. It's about rhythm. Just like sleep works better when it's consistent, your digestive hormones function best when they follow a daily pattern. That's why even something as simple as a 12-12 window, 12 hours of eating, and when you're hungry means. And 12 hours of fasting begin to retrain your body. You're not depriving yourself. You're giving your hormones the space to breathe. Let's bring it into daily life. For older adults especially, skipping meals isn't always ideal, especially if you're managing medications or blood sugar. But you can still create a gentle fasting rhythm. Finish dinner by 7 p.m. and hold off on breakfast until 7 a.m. That's a full 12-hour fast without stress. Want to go further? Ease into a 14-hour window a few days a week. Try sipping herbal tea or warm water in the morning. Your body adapts, and each day gets easier. Another natural way to support this process is by combining fasting with movement. A short morning walk before breaking your fast has been shown to further improve insulin and GLP-1 function. You don't need to run, just move. 15 to 20 minutes of walking after you wake up helps your muscle absorb glucose more efficiently, lowering the hormonal burden on your pancreas. It's small steps like this, literally, that add up over time. If you're finding value in this, give it a thumbs up. It helps us share natural wisdom with more people who are ready to take back control of their health. Now, here's something powerful to remember. Fasting doesn't suppress your body. It rejuvenates it. When you fast regularly, your cells become more tuned in to hormones like GLP-1 and insulin. That means even when you're not fasting, your metabolism works more smoothly. You'll feel full sooner. You'll store less fat. And your body will finally feel like it's working with you again, not against you. This is especially important as we age because our hormone response naturally becomes less efficient. But this doesn't mean you're destined to decline. It just means you need to be more strategic, more rhythmic, and more intentional about when, not just what, you eat. If you haven't tried time-restricted eating yet, Start gently. Give your body space. Let it heal. And trust that it knows what to do. Subscribe if you're learning something new, because what comes next is going to shift how you think about gut health, cravings, and the real root of metabolic imbalance. The gut microbiome is a major player in appetite and hormone regulation. We often think of appetite as something that happens in the brain. A craving hits, a thought forms, and suddenly we're reaching for food. But what if I told you that many of those signals begin in your gut, not your brain? And more specifically, they begin with trillions of bacteria that live inside you. These microbes, collectively known as your gut microbiome, don't just help you digest food. They influence your metabolism, your immune system, your mood, and, most relevant here, your appetite hormones like GLP-1. Your body is not a machine that runs in isolation. It's an ecosystem, and your gut bacteria are key members of that ecosystem. Some species of bacteria are known to directly stimulate the release of GLP-1 from your intestinal cells. Others produce short-chain fatty acids like butyrate and propionate, which improve insulin sensitivity and reduce inflammation, helping GLP-1 do its job more effectively. What this means is simple but profounding. If your microbiome is healthy, your appetite regulation improves. If it's imbalanced or damaged, the signals that tell you to stop eating can get scrambled or even shut off entirely. This is one reason why so many people feel out of control with food, especially as they age. Antibiotic use, low-fiber diets, sugar, alcohol, chronic stress, and even certain medications slowly chip away at the diversity of your gut flora. Over time, this leads to something called dysbiosis, an imbalance where harmful bacteria crowd out the beneficial ones. And here's what happens: inflammation increases, GLP-1 production decreases, cravings go up, and fat storage becomes easier. You're not broken, you're inflamed and out of rhythm, which means, but your body can recover, and the gut is one of the fastest places to heal when you give it the right inputs. That's where functional nutrition shines. The foods you choose today can literally shape your microbiome tomorrow. Start with fermented foods like raw sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, or unsweetened yogurt. Just 1 to 2 tablespoons a day introduces living bacteria that help reseed your gut and strengthen the intestinal wall. Next, feed those bacteria with prebiotic fibers, things like leeks, onions, asparagus, garlic, and green bananas. These fibers don't feed you. They feed the bacteria that produce the molecules that regulate your hunger. There's research to support this. A 2022 study published in Cell Metabolism found that diets rich in prebiotics and fermented foods significantly increased microbiome diversity while reducing markers of inflammation and improving metabolic signaling. Another study showed that individuals with higher levels of Akkermansia mucinifera, a specific beneficial microbe, had better GLP-1 activity and were less likely to develop insulin resistance, which means your bacteria are not passive. They're actively shaping your physiology. If this is shifting how you think about cravings, give this video a like and let us know in the comments what foods you'll try adding this week. For older adults, rebuilding the microbiome can be one of the most rewarding things you do. It improves digestion, lowers inflammation, and brings your hunger signals back into alignment. And it doesn't require extreme diets. It starts with consistency. Add a fermented food once a day. Choose fiber-rich vegetables at dinner. Reduce processed foods that starve your gut and replace them with real, which means living nutrients that restore it. And remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about feeding your internal ecosystem so it can take care of you. Because when your gut flora are balanced, your hormones become balanced. GLP-1 is released when it should be. Ghrelin, your hunger hormone. Calm. Instead of constantly thinking about food, you begin to feel naturally satisfied again. This isn't willpower, which means it's biology in balance. Subscribe if this resonates with you, because in the next section, we're going to look at the surprising connection between your muscles, your mitochondria, and your metabolism, and why keeping your body strong isn't just about movement. It's about hormone regulation and longevity. Muscle mass and mitochondrial health influence appetite hormones, and most people know that muscle helps us move. It helps us stand up from a chair, carry groceries, or climb a flight of stairs. But fewer people realize that muscle is also an endocrine organ, meaning it communicates directly with your hormones. When you maintain muscle mass, you're not just staying physically strong, keeping your metabolic system tuned and responsive. And that includes how your body handles GLP-1. As we age, one of the greatest risks we all face is muscle loss, also called sarcopenia. It begins subtly, often in our 40s or 50s, and accelerates with each passing decade. But muscle doesn't just shrink. Its mitochondria, the powerhouses inside your cells, also weaken. Mitochondria are responsible for turning food into usable energy. When they decline, everything from energy levels to fat burning to hormone sensitivity begins to suffer. What's happening in your body is this: when your muscles shrink and your mitochondria underperform, insulin resistance increases and GLP-1 becomes less effective. That means your cells don't hear the "you're full" signal clearly anymore. Appetite rises. Fat storage increases, and even a healthy meal may not feel satisfying. You may find yourself snacking more, not because you're hungry, but because your cellular signaling is dulled. But this doesn't mean decline is inevitable. The body is designed to respond, even at 60, 70, or 80, if you give it the right stimulus. And the most powerful stimulus for muscle and mitochondrial health: resistance training. That doesn't mean lifting heavy weights at a gym unless you want to. It can be as simple as bodyweight squats, push-ups against a wall, using resistance bands, or climbing stairs with intention. Movement that challenges the muscles, even gently, sends a signal: grow, repair, stay strong. And here's what's fascinating. The contraction of muscle increases the release of myokines, signaling molecules that enhance insulin sensitivity and metabolic function. One study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that individuals with greater muscle mass had significantly in GLP-1 response after meals. Another study from Diabetologia showed that just 12 weeks of resistance training improved post-meal GLP-1 levels in older adults, without any change in medication. So how do you apply this practically? Start with simple movements you can do consistently. Aim for 23 strength, focus sessions per week, even if it's just 115 minutes at home. Combine that walking most days to support circulation and mitochondrial activity. Pair your meat with protein-rich meals to support muscle repair, ideally within 90 minutes of your workout. Foods like eggs, wild-caught salmon, Greek yogurt, or a well-sourced plant protein shake can all help. Also consider key nutrients that support mitochondrial energy production. Magnesium, coenzyme Q10, and B vitamins, especially B1 and B6, are crucial for the enzymes involved in fat burning and hormone productions. These nutrients are often depleted in aging bodies, especially if medications are involved. Restoring them through food or thoughtful supplementation can enhance your results and energy. If you're finding this helpful, hit the like button so more people on a healing journey can discover it too. Now here's the mindset shift. Building and maintaining muscle is not just about looking fit. It's about reclaiming your metabolic flexibility. It's about sending strong, clear signals to your hormones so that your appetite works with you, not against you. So that GLP-1 is released in the right amounts at the right times. So that eating becomes peaceful again, not reactive. Which means you don't need to become a bodybuilder. You just need to preserve the muscle you already have and gently build on it. Your body is waiting for that signal. It's built to respond. And when you combine muscle maintenance with the gut support, fasting rhythms, and food choices we've already discussed, everything begins to align. Subscribe if this is making your health journey feel clearer and more doable. Because next, we'll explore how your sleep, yes, your nightly rhythm, could be the missing link in appetite control and GLP-1 regulation. Sleep quality directly impacts GLP-1 and adrenaline levels, and you might not think your sleep has anything to do with your appetite. But it does. In fact, the quality of your sleep may be the single most overlooked factor in whether you feel calm and in control around food, or stuck in a cycle of cravings and overeating. And that has everything to do with two hormones that work in GLP-1 and ghrelin. GLP-1, as you now know, helps you feel satisfied. Ghrelin does the opposite. It signals hunger. Think of them as the brakes and the gas pedal in your appetite system. When these two hormones are balanced, your body knows when to eat and when to stop. But when sleep is disrupted, that balance falls apart. Studies have shown that just one night of poor sleep can increase ghrelin levels by up to 28% and decrease GLP-1 by 18%. That means the very next day, you're biologically driven to eat more, especially sugar and refined carbs, and feel less satisfied when you do. This isn't lack of willpower. It's sleep-deprived biology. Your body is trying to compensate for low energy by reaching for quick fuel. But that fuel doesn't satisfy, which only feeds the cycle further. What's happening in your body is that deep restorative sleep, particularly stages 3 and 4, known as slow wave sleep, is when your nervous system resets, your insulin sensitivity improves, and appetite hormones recalibrate. Without enough of this type of sleep, your brain doesn't respond properly to GLP-1. The signal to stop eating is weakened, so you eat more, store more fat, and feel more frustrated. But here's the good news. You can support these hormones naturally by restoring your sleep rhythm, not with pills, but with real tools that align with how your body is designed to rest. One of the simplest and most effective protocols is to get bright natural light within 30 minutes of waking. This anchors your circadian rhythm and tells your body when to start producing melatonin later in the day. Without morning light, your sleep hormones don't sync properly, and your appetite hormones suffer as a result. Another key protocol is to avoid blue light. From phones, tablets, bright overhead lighting, for at least 60 to 90 minutes before bed. Blue light blocks melatonin production, delays sleep onset, and increases cortisol, the stress hormone that interferes with both rest and weight regulation. Try switching to warm, dim lighting in the evening and give your brain space to wind down. Food timing also matters. When you eat late, especially heavy or high-carb meals close to bedtime, your body has to divert energy toward digestion instead of restoration. That disrupts sleep architecture and prevents the deep stages where GLP-1 is regulated. Aim to finish your last meal at least 2.5 to 3 hours before bed, which means this allows your insulin levels to drop and supports more regenerative sleep. If this feels like the missing link in your weight or energy journey, hit the like button And tell us in the comments if sleep has been a struggle for you. One more tip that's especially helpful for older adults: consider magnesium, particularly magnesium glycinate. In the evening, magnesium supports relaxation, helps quiet the nervous system, and may improve sleep depth. It also plays a role in blood sugar regulation, making it a natural ally for GLP-1 function. You can also get magnesium through foods like pumpkin seed, spinach, avocado, and wild-caught salmon. Your body is designed to heal while you sleep. Appetite regulation, muscle repair, mitochondrial rejuvenation, memory consolidation, it all happens at night. But only when you protect that time as sacred. Sleep isn't a luxury. It's the foundation for every system in your body to function properly, including your metabolism, which means if you've been working on diet and movement but still struggling with hunger cravings, this may be your next step. Prioritize rest, protect your evenings, which means, and trust that your hormones are recalibrating even when you're not thinking about them. This is the kind of healing that doesn't require effort. Just rhythm, consistency, and respect for how your body was made to restore itself. Subscribe if this is helping you put the pieces together, because in the final core section, we'll bring it all home by looking at blood sugar stability and how it rewires the way your brain processes cravings. You can rewire cravings by stabilizing blood sugar. First, cravings are often misunderstood. We think of them as mental, a lack of willpower, a moment of weakness, a bad habit we should be able to fix. But most cravings aren't mental, metabolic. They're the downstream effect of an unstable system, driven largely by blood sugar spikes and crashes that trigger a cascade of hormonal misfires. The truth is, if your blood sugar isn't stable, your GLP-1 response won't be either. And no amount of power can override a dysregulated brain that's trying to survive a drop in energy. Here's what's happening in your body. When you eat a meal high in refined carbohydrates, say white bread, sweetened cereal, pasta, or pastries, your blood glucose rises sharply. Your pancreas responds by pumping out insulin to bring it back down, but often it overshoots and blood sugar crashes. That crash is interpreted by your brain as an emergency. It ramps up hunger hormones like ghrelin, dampens GLP-1, and pushes you toward quick, easily absorbed calories, sugar, processed snacks, caffeine. This roller coaster repeats throughout the day, creating a false hunger that has little to do with actual energy needs. But here's the empowering truth: you can rewire this pattern. You can create a stable, grounded internal rhythm that allows GLP-1 to work as it was designed, slowly, calmly, in sync with real hunger. And it starts with one simple principle: stabilize your blood sugar first. It means and your cravings will begin to fade without a fight. One of the most effective strategies is what I call protein first. When you begin your meals, especially breakfast, with a source of high-quality protein, you blunt the glucose spike from everything that follows. This gives your body a slower, more controlled response, which protects your GLP-1 activity and prevents the crash that leads to mid-morning snacking. A breakfast of pastured eggs, a handful of walnuts, or a nutrient-dense smoothie with protein, fiber, and healthy fat sets the tone for your entire day. There's also powerful research behind this. A 2016 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that individuals who ate protein-rich meals experienced a 25% increase in post-meal GLP-1 release compared to those who consumed carb-heavy meals. Another study showed that meals combining protein and fiber reduced ghrelin levels, your hunger hormone, while sustaining GLP-1 levels for longer. Another simple shift is to be aware of food order. When you eat protein and non-starchy vegetables first, then starches or sweets last, your blood sugar rises more slowly. This gives your digestive hormones, including GLP-1, a chance to activate properly and communicate satiety before the carbs hit your bloodstream. It's not about avoiding carbs entirely. It's about timing and sequence. And don't underestimate the power of walking, especially after meals. A short 10 to 15-minute walk after eating helps shuttle glucose into muscle tissue, reducing post-meal spikes and flattening the crash that fuels late-day cravings. This isn't about burning calories. It's about signaling your body that the meal is being used, not stored. If this is helping you rethink your relationship with food and energy, tap the like button. It lets us know this message matters. For older adults in particular, stabilizing blood sugar has a ripple effect. It improves mental clarity. It reduces inflammation. It supports better sleep and lowers risk for degenerative conditions. But most importantly, it brings back a sense of calm. When your blood sugar is stable, you're no longer chasing energy or battling your appetite. Your meals satisfy, your mind steadies, your body feels safer. And remember, this doesn't have to be overwhelming. Start with one change: a protein-based breakfast, a walk after lunch, finishing dinner by 700 p.m. Every choice sends a signal. Every rhythm builds on itself. And over time, the cravings that once felt so powerful begin to lose their grip, not because you fought them, because your system no longer needs them. Your body is ready to rebalance, which means all it needs is the right environment and a little consistency. Subscribe if you're ready to keep learning and living in sync with your biology, because in the final section, we'll wrap everything together and share a daily challenge to help you take immediate, empowering action on everything you've learned. So now you know the truth: GLP-1 is not just a weight loss drug target. It's a natural hormone that lives inside your body, ready to help you regulate hunger, stabilize blood sugar, and move toward a healthier weight. without extremes, without fear, hungry, which means, and without needing to override your biology. We've explored how this hormone works, where it comes from, and why it becomes less effective as we age. Not because you're broken, but because modern life interferes with your body's natural rhythm. Chronic snacking, poor sleep, low muscle mass, blood sugar instability, and gut dysbiosis all muffle the signals that GLP-1 is designed to send. But the moment you begin supporting these core systems, even in small ways, your physiology begins to come back online. Your body is always trying to move toward balance, and the good news is that the pathways these new drugs aim to stimulate are already there inside you, waiting to be reawakened. We saw how intermittent fasting restores GLP-1 sensitivity by giving your pancreas and gut time to rest. How bacteria, especially supported by fermented foods and prebiotic fiber, actively increase GLP-1 release and reduce inflammation. We looked at muscle as more than strength. It's your metabolic engine, which means your glucose sink and a hormonal alley that improves satiety and mitochondrial function. We saw how sleep isn't just about rest, but hormone repair, where hunger and satiety are recalibrated every night. And we ended with the foundationing blood sugar. When glucose is stable, your cravings quiet down and your energy lasts longer. You're not fighting yourself anymore. You're feeding your system wisely. This isn't about being perfect. It's about making your inner environment safe and predictable again, because that's what hormones respond to. Rhythm, consistency, safety, and that is completely within your power at any age. You don't need to rely on a lifetime of injections to reclaim balance. And you don't have to fear modern medicine either. These drugs have a place, especially for those in a health crisis, but they are not the only path. And for most people, they are not the first path to consider. You can begin by reconnecting your body's own regulatory systems, gently, naturally, and with respect. So let's ground this in something you can do today. A daily challenge. Simple, doable, and transformative. Here it is, Hugh, for the next 3 days. Do 3 things. You start your day with 20 grams of protein before any carbs or coffee. This could be eggs with avocado, a protein shake with fiber and fat, some wild salmon and greens if you're feeling adventurous. Protein calms your blood sugar and supports your GLP-1. Go for a 10-minute walk after dinner. It doesn't have to be fast. Just move your body. Let your muscles soak up glucose, support your mitochondria. Stop eating 3 hours before bed. Your body space to reset, sleep more deeply, and allow hormones to recalibrate. 3 days. No perfection. It's just intention. And observe. How does your hunger change? Do you sleep better? Do your cravings feel less intense? That's your biology speaking. Thanking you. If you found this helpful, let us know in the comments. Will you try first? Your insights may inspire someone else on this journey. And if this resonated, subscribe, because here at Healthy Aging Wisdom, we're not here for hype. We're here to help you age with clarity, strength, and dignity, using the science of natural healing, the power of functional health, and the ancient wisdom of listening to your body. This journey is not about fixing yourself. It's about coming back to how your body was always meant to work. Your body is ready. You just need to give it what it needs.